Join me in welcoming Hillary Clinton.
Thank you, Rick, for that very generous introduction. Thank you for your leadership of the party. Now, before I say anything else, I do have to congratulate this year's Super Bowl champion. What a performance. Of course, I'm talking about Beyonce, but the Broncos did great too. Thrilled to be here to see this room packed with people who are committed to making sure we have a Democrat in the White House in 2017. And I want to thank a few of the terrific Democrats here tonight. Your governor, John Hickenlooper. Your great Senator, Michael Bennet. Representatives Diana DeGette and Jared Polis and Ed Perlmutter. Mayor Michael Hancock. And I have to recognize my pal from the Obama cabinet, former Secretary Ken Salazar as well. I want to give a special thank you to two extraordinary people who have both served our country in diverse and remarkable ways and are now fighting to stop gun violence wherever it occurs. Former Congresswoman, the great Gabby Giffords, military vet and former astronaut Mark Kelly. And to all the state and city officials who pour your hearts into serving Colorado and the United States each and every day, thank you. You know, so many of the most urgent battles happening in America today are being fought out at the state and local levels, aren't they? Yeah. The Republicans know that. They're investing in a 50-state strategy. They're building strong parties everywhere, from the ground up, filling the pipeline with local officials to move on to state positions, to move on to the federal government. We have got to do the same. And so let's start by taking back the Senate here in Colorado this fall. Let's keep the House of Representatives, and of course, let's re-elect Michael Bennet, and let's send Morgan Carroll to Washington with him. If any of us needed a reminder of just how important it is to take back the United States Senate and hold on to the White House, just look at the Supreme Court. I know that our thoughts and prayers are with the Scalia family tonight, and I'm also thinking and praying for the future of our country. It is outrageous that Republicans in the Senate and on the campaign trail have already pledged to block any replacement that President Obama nominates. Now, I'm sure we'll all have a lot more to say about this in the coming days. So let me just make one point. Barack Obama is President of the United States until January 20th, 2017. like it or not. Elections have consequences. The president has a responsibility to nominate a new justice, and the Senate has a responsibility to vote. And all of us Democrats, we have a responsibility to make sure a Republican doesn't win in November and rip away all the progress we've made together. And let me say one last thing, because I've been thinking about this for the last few hours. Now, you will hear, in fact, some might say, a confirmation process would take too long for this president to complete during his remaining days in office. Well, the longest successful confirmation process in the last 4 decades was Clarence Thomas, and that took roughly 100 days. There are 340 days until the next president takes office, so that is plenty of time. Well, then some might say, well, yes, but this is an election year. Okay. But the confirmation for Justice Kennedy took place in 1988. That was an election year, and he was confirmed 97-0. So, as a presidential candidate, a former law professor, a recovering lawyer, and frankly a citizen, to hear comments like those of Leader Mitch McConnell's this evening is very disappointing. It is totally out of step with our history and our constitutional principles. Now, just a few minutes ago, President Obama said he would nominate someone to the bench, and that's exactly what he should be doing, and Leader McConnell should follow the constitutional process. So, my friends, we have a lot of work to do in the next year. And then we have a lot of work to do after that. When I started this campaign last spring, I knew we were facing real challenges as a country. But talking to families across America has made it so real, so heartfelt, hearing their stories. It is appalling that the children I met in Flint, Michigan were poisoned by lead because their governor wanted to save money. It is absolutely wrong that the home health aide I met in Nevada, who has been taking care of other people's loved ones for 40 years, has never earned enough to put away even 1 cent for her own retirement. It is wrong that the cashier I met in New Hampshire is paid less than her son for doing the same job at the same company, and she's actually been there longer than he has. And it is wrong that American companies would play legal tricks to be sold on paper to companies overseas so they can avoid paying their fair share of taxes here at home. One company doing that right now is Johnson Controls in Wisconsin. That company actually benefited from the auto bailout back in 2008 because they make auto parts. They, like everyone else, begged for help. The Republicans said, let the auto industry fail, take down those millions of jobs. President Obama and the Democrats said, let's see if we can figure out a way to keep you going until we get through the Great Recession. And we did. We did. In fact, the United States government and the taxpayers of our country provided the funds. Turned out to be a good deal. They paid it back. So the Treasury wasn't out any money. So what is happening now? Johnson Controls is turning its back on America, moving to avoid paying taxes to the government and people who saved their business. Now, some call that under the tax code an inversion. I call it a perversion, and we are going to stop it. People are angry, and they have every right to be. But they're also hungry. They're hungry for solutions they can count on. We've heard a lot in this campaign about Washington and Wall Street. And look, I want to get secret, unaccountable money out of politics as much as anyone. In case you may not know, the worst decision in a very long time, Citizens United, was actually about me, and yet another right-wing attack on me by a group trying to use dark, unaccountable money. So we're going to get it out of politics, and we are going to make sure, because now we have Dodd-Frank, so we have the rules and the process, that no bank is ever too big to fail and no executive too powerful to jail. But I will tell you this, it is not enough just to be against bad actions and bad actors. We've got to be for a positive agenda. We need to get jobs growing and incomes rising. Too many Americans still can't find a good-paying job, no matter how hard they try. The middle class needs a raise, and we're going to give it to you. National mission to create millions of jobs in clean energy, manufacturing, and infrastructure. We need to deal with high college costs and student debt, which is holding so many young people back from starting their lives. And we do need to create more jobs for young people, because being out of work at the start of your career can have lifelong repercussions. Yesterday, I shared my plan to create more jobs, specifically to help the nearly 40,000 unemployed young people right here in Colorado. I will do that nationwide. We need an agenda to unleash the innovation of our entrepreneurs and small businesses. There's a lot we can do, not just to stop bad things from happening, but to make good things happen in America again, to give us back our confidence and our optimism, to claim the future for ourselves and our kids. But economic barriers are not the only ones holding Americans back. There are the barriers of bigotry. We cannot close our eyes to the African American families who, after generations of discrimination, have just a fraction of the wealth of white families, 11,000 compared to over 141,000 for the median white household. Or the immigrant families laying awake at night, listening for a knock on the door, working in the shadows, vulnerable to exploitation by unscrupulous employers, parents terrified of being ripped away from their own children. Or the people drowning in drug addiction or facing mental health problems, unable to afford professional help, trying to fix themselves on their own, coming up short again and again. So many people, so many families are struggling with this. I bet everyone in this room knows somebody who's trying to deal with mental health or addiction issues, who's tried and failed because we don't have enough help available. We've got to do better. And we can't ignore the parents fighting for paid leave so they don't have to choose between a paycheck and their new baby. Last year, many of you tried to create a state paid leave program, but Republicans stood in your way. I do not know how anyone can be against paid family leave, but somehow they are. So let's get it done at the federal level. Let's go even further and finally guarantee equal pay for women's work. And please join me in defending Planned Parenthood against this Republicans Republicans are going after Planned Parenthood again and again. Here in Colorado, they are trying to ban virtually all legal abortion and access to emergency contraception. They truly want to drag us backwards. It's insulting to women, and you know what? It's dangerous. Now, I know when I talk like this, Republicans say I'm playing the gender card. Well, if fighting for equal pay and Planned Parenthood is playing the gender card, then deal me in. Just think, it was only a few months ago that crazed man shot up the clinic in Colorado Springs. Just the latest in a series of attacks that took lives, that have occurred all too frequently against women's health centers. It's become ordinary for women to go through metal detectors just to get an annual exam. Think about that for a minute. It is so outrageous. We all deserve better. But even at a time of hostility and violence, there's cause for hope. In just a few days, the Colorado Springs Clinic will reopen. The doctors and nurses will get back to work giving expert care to anyone who needs it, no matter how much they can pay. They are living proof that violence and misogyny have no place in this country, and they won't ever stop us from doing what we know is right for the women of America. And let's be clear, the Planned Parenthood shooter should have never had that gun in the first place. The man who shot Gabby Giffords and 18 others should never have had a gun. We have survivors here tonight of the gun attacks in Columbine, Aurora, and Sandy Hook. I cannot tell you how much I admire their courage, taking their grief, turning it into determination, and pursuing action. They know, in fact, we all know, we can balance people's Second Amendment rights with common sense measures to prevent more senseless deaths. It is just a question of whether we choose to do so. Well, I'll tell you where I stand. When we lose on average 90 people a day to gun violence, 33,000 people a year, we can't wait. We can't wait for more people to die before finally taking action. The time for action is now. I think we all know we need real solutions to the challenges we face. I'm running to tear down all the barriers that hold people back across our country. And I'm not making promises I can't keep. You know, every once in a while, a day comes along when we make something really big and extraordinary happen all at once. But in my experience, that's not how we make change most of the time in our country. To make change happen over and over again, you've got to keep working, keep fighting day after day. And if you get knocked down, you've got to get right back up and go at it one more time. And you know, before it was called Obamacare, it was called Hillary Care. And I was working day and night to pass universal health care.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the insurance companies and the drug companies weren't happy about it.
No.
They went after us. They beat us. And we had to figure out what happened next. We were knocked down. But I'll tell you what stayed with me. And this is what I want you to think about. By the time we had to admit that we'd been beaten, I'd heard countless stories from families denied health care by insurance companies. Families looking for help, turned away because of pre-existing conditions. Those stories lived in my heart. One in particular, I was at the Children's Hospital in Cleveland, meeting with parents of very sick children who were desperate for help. They told me their stories. Finally, I got to a man who said, you know, I'm successful. I have the resources. He said, I run a company. I provide health insurance to my employees and their families. But I have 2 daughters with cystic fibrosis, and nobody will help me at all. I said, what do they tell you when you make your presentation? He said, I show them the medical bills. I show them my income. I tell them I can buy something. They say no. He said, the last time I met with one of the companies, the man heard me out, and then he looked at me, and he said, you don't understand. We don't insure burning houses. And I saw tears form in the eyes of the man I was talking to, and he said with the shake of his head, they called my little girls burning houses. So we did get back to work. I worked with Republicans and Democrats to pass the Children's Health Insurance Program, which now insures 8 million kids. That was a lifeline for those 8 million kids and their families. Did I get everything I wanted? No. But did we get help for 8 million kids? Yes. And I never gave up on the dream of universal health care. 8 million kids wasn't everything, but it was real. It was achievable. And I could not bear the thought we would leave children without health care even a single day longer. Now, I learned from my family and my faith to do all the good you can for as many people as you can in all the ways you can. That's why I say with all of my heart, let's build on the Affordable Care Act. Let's take on the drug companies to bring down the price of prescription drugs that so many families depend on. Let's get those out-of-pocket costs down. The people that I have met in this campaign need progress now. We are 90% of the way there. I was thrilled when President Obama passed and signed the Affordable Care Act. Democrats have been trying to get to universal coverage since Harry Truman. We are so close. We can't turn back. We can't plunge ourselves into another contentious national debate. We've got to make it work. We've got to deliver. And here's my promise to all of you. I will work harder than anyone to actually make those changes that will improve the lives of Americans and deliver the health care that we deserve to have. And here's what else I want you to know. I want you to know that we will work together to build on the progress we've made under President Obama, to break all the barriers that hold Americans back. He has not gotten nearly enough credit for all that he's accomplished after all that he inherited with the Republican best way we can say thank you to our president, who has faced implacable hostility from the Republicans, is by defending what he's done and going even further. Now, those of us who are grandparents know the older you get, funnily enough, the more you start thinking about the future. So I want you to imagine with me. Imagine a tomorrow where hard work is honored and rewarded with rising incomes again, the way it was in the 1990s, when incomes went up for every single American, and African Americans had the largest increase in income. We can do that again. Imagine we take on the threats posed by climate change rather than leaving them for the next generation when it will be too late. Imagine when we produce enough renewable energy to power every home in America. Where your education lifts you up and student debt does not drag you down the way it does for so many of America's young people. Imagine that we have more entrepreneurs starting and growing new small businesses. And imagine a tomorrow where every American knows that no matter what their race or religion or sexual orientation or gender identity, they have an equal shot at achieving their dreams, because this is their country too. Imagine a tomorrow where gun violence no longer stalks America, where America is safe at home and strong in the world. That's the kind of America we want for our kids and for our country. So when you go to caucus on March 1st, ask yourself, who can you count on to break down every barrier, not just some? And think about this. Yes, Wall Street and big financial interests, along with the drug companies, the insurance companies, big oil, the gun lobby, they all have too much influence. And I will fight every single day to even the odds against them. But if we were able to get rid of all that tomorrow, we would still have the cruel negligence I saw in Flint. We would still have discrimination in all its ugly forms. We would still have Republican ideologues ripping the heart out of the middle class with their attacks on workers' rights and unions' rights to organize and stand up for better wages and conditions. I am not a single issue candidate, and this is not a single issue country. Now more than ever, we need a president who can do all parts of the job on behalf of all Americans, who believes in the basic proposition about our country, that when each and every American has the chance to live up to his or her God-given potential, then and only then can America live up to its potential. So I'm asking for your support in this campaign. I can't do this without you. I want your ideas. I want to benefit from your experience. There's so much expertise and brilliance and heart in this room tonight. And most of all, I'm asking you caucus for me, you stick with me, you vote for me in November, and you come with me to that White House where we're going to have more Democrats elected